We'll take a look at silk screening. So here are all the silk screens we'll use.
Oh, okay, wow.
So conventional silk screens, right, that we all know. Yeah. We always use silk screens, but there's a period of time in the 70s when we went to a water slide decal. And with all the vintage awareness by the late 70s, early 80s, we went back to silk screen. And I don't know why, I scratched my head because I don't know why you would want to do a water slide because the silk screen is so much quicker, more accurate. You're going to have less of that potential wrinkle or breakage of a water slide, and then at the same time it's historic. When the lacquer settles, you're not going to see that outline or halo of that water slide, and it's just quicker to apply.
Which one did they go back to, you said?
They went back to the silk screen.
The silk screen.
So they went to a water slide in the 70s during the dark ages, and then back to silk screen after that.
Could you flip that up one more time? That's the silk screen of the, that's beautiful.
So what we do on a Les Paul Standard, we'll silk screen the Les Paul model, but we won't silk screen the Gibson because that's in pearl.
Yeah.
So what we do is we put the guitar here, and these pins locate on the headstock. Then we close that. We'll apply ink to the silk screen, and then we have a squeegee, and then squeegee that ink, and it goes through them small holes onto the guitar, right? So the cool thing, you know, silk screens have been around for, you know, since the 1800s, I believe. Used for posters and printing and things like that. My favorite trivia. Do you know when they first screen printed on t-shirts?
When?
Beatlemania.
Really?
Beatlemania was the first use of screen print on t-shirts.
The birth of the modern band shirt.
Yeah, so that not only did they invent the concert t-shirt, but just that concept of screen printing on t-shirts.
That's incredible. What made you want to play guitar?
Well, my buddies were. I was always interested in the music. You know, I grew up with an older brother and sister, so it was kind of a Beatle household. Yeah. And then later, you know, other things like Cream and Hendrix and Stones and Deep Purple. And then when I was about 14 or 15, you know, I was really into skateboarding, and I'm back into it again.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of my friends were starting to play guitar, and I lived outside of Chicago, so I thought, you know, guitar would be cool to learn when I can't skateboard in winter.
No kidding, yeah.
So, I was able to get...
That sounds like us.
Yeah, so I got a Gibson SG, which is a long story, but I was fortunate to start out on a Gibson SG as my first guitar.
Nice.
And it's surreal that I'm here now. And I built my first guitar like 6 months after that because I was in my second year of wood shop in high school, so I had to do something more accomplished. And so I did an Explorer because I thought it just looked cool. And then I got hired by the local music store I was taking lessons at, right? So that was kind of how I got into this business. So it was Beatle inspired. And then when I decided I wanted a guitar, I was going through a Beatle book and saw a picture of George Harrison with his cherry red SG. And I said, yeah, that's the kind of guitar I want. So that's what, you know, kind of prompted me into it, right?
What part of the Chicago area?
Actually, Munster, Indiana, northwest
Munster,
corner.
Yeah.
So
we're from western Chicago. Yeah, western suburbs. Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I'm out in Batavia, so.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got friends out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was my stomping ground. There was a store at the time called DJ's. That's where I got my first guitar.
Wow.
That was in oh, I forgot the name of the town now. Oh, we're catching them between shifts.
Oh.
This is scraping. So in scraping, what they do, they're packing up in between shifts. They'll have a scraper blade. They'll hold it between their thumb and finger, and then they scrape the color off of the binding because you can't effectively mask it. And
yeah, that's amazing. That's what we saw over at Custom.
Yeah. So this takes many months to learn that skill. And they have all their, and that's why they pack them up, because each of these craftsmen shape and sharpen their own blades.
Really?
So when they leave after their shift, they put their tools up, and then the next shift comes in and they get their tools. And all those files are what they sharpen their scraper blades on.
Wow.
So it's very, very skilled because they have to maintain the proper distance without getting into the wood, right?
Yeah.
So,
Amazing.
yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for letting us peek.
Yeah, thank you. These would be the finished guitars.
Oh, beautiful.
You can't effectively use masking tape and have a line that clean.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to scrape it. You have that surface and then the face. So it's very critical.
It'll still bleed a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So you have to scrape it.
Yeah. And on cars and things like that, you can get away with using that. And on a big car, you don't notice that little bit.
Sure.
But on a guitar, you'll notice that bleed or that very slight fuzz.
Sure.
Thank you.
So at that step there, the finish is done. It's been scraped, the binding's been scraped.
Yeah, so after the binding scrape, then it goes to get that QC approval.
Yep.
So all the color is done. And then once they pass there, then they get the clear top coat.
Okay.
Karen, today's her last day here.
Oh, wow.
She's going to Custom Shop. So I got to make sure I give her a hug before she leaves. So I got to make sure I give you another hug before you leave. What time do you actually leave today?
I'm leaving at 3:30.
Okay.
My normal time.
I'll try to get back for some more hugs.
Oh, yeah, okay. I don't know who you guys are, but welcome to Gibson.
Thank you, yeah.
We're very, very proud of Karen. She's like the star here, but she's going over to Custom. So we wish her well, but we're going to miss her. But she's still part of the family.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Karen.
Oops, sorry.
Excuse me.
I love all the smells in here.
Yeah. Now these guitars in here are guitars that didn't pass the QC at color. So they'll go back and get sanded and resprayed and then brought back
So I
in.
see we actually toured the demo shop on Thursday. Is that where those go, right here?
Well, some of them will go to demo. It depends on the level of what's required.
Yeah.
Some of them can. If it's not too bad, they may go over there and get a little touch up and then get processed. But the majority of them will go back out into color prep and get processed. Yeah. Like these will go to demo. They're slated for demo.
Oh, wow.
But a lot of them will just go to, actually those are too. But a lot of them will go back out to color prep and then back in.
I see, yeah.
I think the reason those, because they're ES and that would be more time consuming to repair than to let them do them.
Yeah. They have a great team over there.
They do.
They were cool to meet. Noah gave us a tour.
Yeah. They're doing a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah, seems like it.
It's almost like they're their own little custom shop.
Yeah, it feels like you're getting a curated, it's a blend, but they're kind of curating the restoration and getting it back into kind of their spec. And then it ends up being a one-off, kind of one of a kind.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like a mini custom shop, exactly.
Yep. Hi, Shannon. Guitars come out of finishing and go into neck prep. And in neck prep, they remove the masking tape off of the fingerboard and then clean and polish the frets and fretboard surface. Because even though it's masked, you'll get a little bit of lacquer bleed onto the fingerboard, so they got to clean all that out.
I see.
So this is the Les Paul. This is how it looks after it comes out of neck prep. So they've already cleaned and polished the fingerboard, but they put tape on it so when they buff it, they don't get buffing compound on the fingerboard.
Okay.
And you can see while it's glossy, it still has a certain amount of residual orange peel and maybe some grain texture, right? Mm-hmm. So what they do is sand it down level with fine grade sandpaper down to 1200 grit, and it'll look like frosted glass, all dull, but smooth. And then they buff it out on all the buffing wheels, progressing through various grades of buffing compound. And that'll bring that glass-like shine and gloss to the finish.
Beautiful.
So again, very labor intensive and very physical. You know, you think of the weight of the guitar, now force it into a moving buffing wheel and press it in there. So if you look around these guys, I always joke, these are not the guys you're going to get in a butt kicking contest with.
No, no.
Because they're the brutes. And then they're also the younger guys. I call it the under 40 club, because if you're wearing progressives, it'll wear your eyes out. Because as you're buffing, you have to monitor your work, and it's very, very taxing on your eyes. A lot of time goes in. That's what, you know, and again, that's another signature of that Gibson lacquer finish.
Yeah, it's beautiful. How many grits, so to speak, of the buffing wheels are there?
There's 3 different grits. We have the initial is a red wheel, and then we go to a yellow wheel and then a white wheel. So between those 3, and that white is basically a clean wheel, and we'll use polish.
Okay.
So really just 2 different compounds.
Okay.
And then we also do satin finishes. So with the satin finishes, you avoid binding, or you avoid buffing, and then a lot of satins won't have binding depending on the model.
Sure.
So that's where you can offer, you know, American-made Gibson guitars at lower price points.
Would that be like the kind of like the tribute?
Yeah, the tribute series.
60s or 50s.
Yeah, the Les Paul tributes, things like that.
That's called a satin finish?
Yeah, like this is one here. So now you don't have binding on the neck, and you just have this worn satin finish. You know, it's showing the grain, kind of like a modern version of that TV, but in a white instead of that yellow, where you can see the grain. So now you don't have the time and expense of all the clear coats that go on, or applying the binding, or buffing.
Is satin still a nitro?
Yeah, it's still nitro.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's still nitrocellulose. It's just thinner because you have less layers.
Okay.
But the bones of this is basically the same as like our 50s Les Paul Special, right? So it's still a mahogany body. In this case, it's a maple neck. We use maple on these models because it's less expensive. Maple is a fine wood, as we all know, but it's about the quarter of the cost than if we use a mahogany neck.
Okay.
So it's a great money savings.